Hi, everyone. We had a little technical difficulty at the beginning of the information session call. So I'm going to run through the first part of the presentation, and then we'll jump over to the actual call with students or Zoom with students that was recorded earlier. So let me just do a quick introduction here of myself. I'm Kara Edwards, and I'm the Executive Director of Washington Media Scholars Foundation. A little later in this presentation, you will meet Ben Engel and Andrea Kozlow. Andrea Kozlow is the former and immediate past executive director of Washington Media Scholars. So she is a real wealth of information to students and obviously to the team here at Media Scholars. Ben is one of the chief strategists of the case. And so you'll see him answering some student questions about the case. And then finally, pictured here at the bottom left is Robin Roberts, who is the Washington Media Scholars CEO and founder. Robin founded Washington Media Scholars over 13 years ago. He is widely recognized as a leader and pioneer in the political and issue advocacy advertising world. He has supervised strategic media research, planning, and placement for hundreds of campaigns, including numerous presidential campaigns. So he's not on the call today, but for students who advance to the semifinals, through the semifinals into the final rounds and make it to Media Scholars Week, you will get to know and meet Robin. And we are so grateful to his visionary leadership, which has resulted in the incredible mission of Media Scholars, which is to create scholarship, education, and career advancement opportunities for college students interested in strategic media. And we are so proud to have supported hundreds of students at universities across the country with scholarships, networking opportunities that have really paved the ways for their careers in media. Okay, so moving on. Let's talk a little bit about the Media Scholars Case competition and what it looks like. So the Media Plan Case competition is the cornerstone of Washington Media Scholars Foundation. It really challenges students to think strategically and to dive into the deep end of marketing impressions, numbers, and budgets. The case competition itself involves teams of two who create strategic media plans based on hypothetical public policy issues. And students are working with real world data from leading national research and ratings firms to create a media plan that effectively reaches their target audience. Some students may not have the knowledge or background, as we know, to create an in-depth strategic media plan. And so with that in mind, we have created some tools to help student teams, like a step-by-step guide to how to participate in a suggested reading list. And additionally, we have a 15-minute tutorial. It's actually about 12 minutes that's available to register teams upon request. So if that's something that you would be interested in seeing, you can check out the Media Scholars channel on YouTube. That video is posted there, or you can email info@mediascholars.org and we'll be happy to send you a link. So now we know that all students, regardless of academic interest and ability, have the opportunity to engage in this challenge. And this challenge involves, once you get to Media Scholars Week, in-person sessions, professional development seminars, job shadowing, excursions, an awards luncheon, and of course the scholarship awards themselves. And I just want to emphasize that there is absolutely no cost to participate for students, and all the costs are covered for coming to Washington, D.C. for that week. The qualifying round itself includes a brief introduction to the basics of media planning, and it allows judges to determine those most able to submit a competitive media plan. So during this round of competition, students are able to work individually, or they can work as a team of two. And we do estimate that the qualifying round should take teams about 2 to 3 hours of time to complete. Approximately 25 teams will then be selected to advance to the semifinals, and those announcements will be made on February 11th. And on this date, those semifinalists will receive the official expanded case and will begin developing their media plans for the case competition. So, this is just a sampling of some of the partners, media partners and sponsors who support Washington Media Scholars Foundation and who really make all of this happen. And the great additional benefit is that students who come to Media Scholars Week actually get to meet with representatives of these companies as they are participating in many of the Media Scholar Week activities. Okay, so here are some key dates to keep on the horizon. The qualifying round deadline ends at 11:59 p.m. on February 4th. So definitely make sure that you have completed and submitted your qualifying round submission by that time. We'll announce the semifinalists on February 11th and give you that expanded case, and the deadline to return your final case, media planning case, is March 14th. All of these submissions happen online, by the way. And then we will announce the 6 finalist teams on March 28th. And those 6 finalist teams will come to Washington, D.C. during Media Scholars Week, beginning June 5th. And the awards presentation itself is at a luncheon on June 9th. So we do want to give you those dates well in advance as you're thinking about your summer plans, summer internships and jobs, so that you can keep these dates in mind. Okay, how to apply? Very easy. As I mentioned, all of these submissions are submitted online, and you simply go to mediascholars.org, click on the Media Scholars tab there, right at the top. You can see that highlighted. Scroll down to the bottom of the page. And if you haven't already, click on number 1 to register your team for the qualifying round. You can do that at any time before you submit your case. And then number 2 also needs to happen again before 11:59 p.m. on February 4th. And that is submitting your materials. And your materials consist of an Excel allocation plan and a PDF brief, no longer than 3 pages, single spaced, and those can both be uploaded through this website here. Okay, so here are some of the highlights for Media Scholars Week planned for June 5th through 10th, as I've mentioned. And again, we obviously recognize that we're still living in a COVID environment. The last 2 years, Media Scholars Week has been a virtual experience. However, fingers crossed, we are hoping that this experience will be in person and live in Washington, D.C. this year. So that means that we take care of your travel expenses to get to D.C., plane tickets, we take care of your accommodations, and then we just give you such a wealth of information. The team at Media Scholars and our media partners are opening their doors for studio tours and information sessions. We'll teach you business interview and etiquette and Media 101 courses that Ben Engel teaches. You can do on-site job shadowing with media execs. As part of this experience, we actually take your professional headshot so that you have that to add to your portfolio at the end of this experience. And of course, you'll make your final presentations to a panel of industry leaders. And the final scholarship winners will be announced at a networking luncheon, as I mentioned, on Thursday, June 9th, attended by industry leaders and media scholars sponsors. So we award a total of $18,500 in scholarships. That's on top of the all expense paid trips for 6 teams to Washington, D.C. for the last round of competition. The winning team, each member of the winning team will receive $5,000, and each member of the runner-up team will receive $3,000. We also have an additional scholarship, the Maya Guyon scholarship, which is in memory of a former media scholar. And that is $2,500. We typically only give away one of the Maya Guyon scholarships. However, last year was a particularly outstanding group of candidates, and we awarded 2 of the Maya Guyon scholarships in her honor. So we have just a fantastic group of media scholars who are alumni, and real life jobs have come out of this. There are some who have job offers even before they leave DC, and if not job offers, they certainly have much better contacts than they did when they entered the competition. So we really see this as a benefit. Kylie Cost is a media scholar alum. She is now employed with one of the companies that is part of the family of companies that Robin Roberts, our founder, owns and runs. That company is purple.com. And then we also have others. You're going to see one of our media scholars in this video I'm about to show, who is a current employee of TikTok. So you know, this I can't speak highly enough of how transformative this week is to your college career and towards your media career.
Hi everyone, it's Eric Zhao here, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of the winning team in the 2020 media case competition.
This is Alexander Lai from the 2020 media plan case competition winning team.
Thank you so much for awarding Avery and I runner-up. Avery and I worked so hard on this plan.
A huge thank you to Washington Media Scholars and everyone involved this year.
Everyone from Robin Roberts, Andrea Koslow,
all of the guest speakers, judges, and advisors.
It was a week I learned a lot, an experience I know I'll cherish for a really long time.
This year's case was definitely unique.
And I'm also glad that I learned a lot about political campaigning and media.
I really encourage anyone in the future, if you're considering doing this competition, to definitely do it.
With the uncertainty that 2020 has brought about, it was an honor to be a part of something so positive.
I cannot say thank you enough.
So thank you.
So thanks everyone.
Thank you again, everyone.
Great. Okay, so with that, we then heard from Ben Engel in the original Zoom session, who really explained what it is that the case criteria that the judges are looking for during this qualifying round, and how to stand out. And so what Ben emphasized is that the judges really want to see that you and your teammate can write, that you can write well, that you use real English language, you're not using emojis and talking in shorthand, that you have, most essentially, that you have proofed your entries for any potential errors, that you've had others look at your entry to proof it for errors. They want to see that you have creative, critical thinking skills and an understanding of key media concepts, because there really isn't a right or wrong answer with regard to the case itself. You just need to be convinced that this isn't a mathematical problem that you're trying to solve. Your case needs to convince your audience that your approach to the case is the right approach, and how you express that and the data you use to support your argument is all that is being used by the judges to score your entry. We will have additional information sessions for students that advance past the qualifying round to the semifinal round. So really for now, just focusing on those key areas is the most important, and not really spending more than 2 to 3 hours for this initial round is most important. And then as you advance through the competition, we'll make ourselves available to help answer additional questions for you. So prior to our session, one of the teams actually submitted a question about the 2022 case, which said, the brief says that Trey wants to boost newspaper subscriptions. Is this just a Sunday edition subscriptions, daily subscriptions, or both? And are they looking to boost printed newspaper subscriptions, digital only subscriptions, or both? And I can tell you that Ben sort of chuckled at this question because he realized that this team had sort of found a weakness in the way that they had stated things. And so he just said, use your judgment and make it work for you. There wasn't a specific subscription segment that they were looking. So you can work that answer to your benefit. And that is where we're going to now switch over to the actual recording to the call. So stay tuned and we'll be picking up in just a minute. Great, Marta.
Well, I was reading through the program last week. I noticed, or maybe I couldn't find it, I didn't see a specific budget set. Is that just ours to run with, or what would you say on that?
So that's a good observation. And your sister's one that participated, right, Marta? Your sister participated?
Yeah, she was a runner-up. So
if you have spoken with her, this case is going to be different from any previous cases we've done, in that previous years we've asked students to work as if they were on the buy side. My agency, National Media, we're a media buying entity. We work with all the media companies across the country to buy their time and their space for our clients' ads to run. This case is kind of reversing that and placing you on the sales side. So you're advising a media company about a new product that they have and trying to help them promote it. And the media company owns a bunch of different other media entities in our fictitious market. So think about Disney. Disney owns ABC. They own ESPN. Obviously, ABC has a website. They have a streaming app, Disney Plus. I guess Disney has Disney Plus. ESPN, you've got streaming version of ESPN. You've got ESPN, the website. So they've got all these different properties. So if Disney wanted to launch a new product, they could use any of those properties to run promos, to drive traffic or attention to it. That's what you're doing. This media company is called James Media, I believe. James Media owns all of those different entities that we gave to you in the narrative. And it's your job to figure out how to promote this new magazine using the properties they own. And then you can assign a dollar value to it. So if you're using the ad time on the television station, it's going to help the magazine, but at what cost to you? Because you're not then selling that ad unit to an advertiser. So you don't necessarily have a budget. Your job is to tell us, how many people do you think you need to reach to achieve the goal of promoting and getting subscription for this new magazine, but at what cost to their 1 month revenue line, because you're using this promo time. As you watch TV over the next month, any sports fans, if you're watching the Olympics or NFL playoffs in the Super Bowl, you'll see cross promotions on NBC. NBC is going to cross promote the Olympics with the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl is going to promote the Olympics. That's ad time that they could be selling to people, but they want to drive audiences to those properties so that they can then increase the cost of the ad time because more people are going to watch it. So it's up to those companies to decide how much of their time do they use for themselves versus selling to other people. So that's what you're doing. You're deciding how much of our time space are we using for ourselves versus selling to other people. And you're going to put a dollar amount to that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Ben, just so that I'm sure I understand the answer, the question that that all the students have to answer is the value of the inventory that they chose strategically to promote the product. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you decide that the magazine is going to generate a ton of grassroots momentum on its own, and you don't need to spend any money, then your answer could be $0. I advise against that, but you could. And then you could say, let's use all their time and spend all their, take 1 month of all their inventory and use all that. Again, probably wouldn't be the smartest thing to do, but if you can make a case for it, then by all means, make a case.
So that answers that last question there, right, Andrea?
Yeah, I think Christian has a question.
Okay, thank you. So while I was reading through the brief, I kind of found like conflicts of interest that I wanted to ask about, because it said like James, the leader, was impressed with the guidebook, the ad revenue they generate from that. And so the magazine is going to be ad heavy, but then also in the brief, even though the purpose is to promote the magazine, they mentioned that they want the new magazine and promotional campaign to boost newspaper subscriptions. So is the main goal, even though they're launching a new product, is more of the emphasis on the magazine or bringing the magazine subscriptions back to the Daily Democrat readers?
So the emphasis is meant to be on the new magazine. But since they own so many different properties, there's opportunity to promote all of these through the expansion of their media empire by adding this magazine into their portfolio. And how can they promote the magazine, but also boost every other media property they have? So think of it that way. That answer it? Yeah. Yes, I see a hand.
Yeah, I know that you mentioned the like tutorial videos and the links on the website. I was just wondering, how to make the most of the resources that you, like the people who work at Washington Media Scholars, provide for us. Like how to, like, can we reach out to you guys? Like things like that, like how to just take advantage of the resources that you already offer us to help us do with this competition.
So I'd say our email line is always open. Don't hesitate to email and ask a question. We'll answer anything that we can answer. If it's something that we think needs to be shared with the entire group of people that are participating, we'll respond to everyone that has registered, just to make sure it's fair. Because sometimes we do get questions that, clarifying questions like Christian just asked, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page. In terms of directing you to which materials to use, I don't know, Andrea, that's a little harder to answer because I don't know, your personal course load or your work responsibilities or family responsibilities. So I don't know how much time you happen to have or not have, because I guess the easy answer would be say read them all, but that's probably not realistic. So.
Yeah, I would say for this round, focus on the case and really answering it, and use, look at all of the resources that we provide. But for this round, I think that's probably sufficient. Use your advisor if you have one, have them take a look at your qualifying round submission if you can. If you can't, send it anyway. But if you can, that's great. You really, by the time you get to the semifinal round, that's when you're going to really want to use every resource at your fingertips, right? And maybe even beyond your fingertips. So you're going to want to use that. You're going to want to use your school's professors, your advisor. You might have someone who has mentored you in a past internship that you may want to have them to look at it or to provide feedback. At that point, when the case is even richer, right? The content's even richer. We want you to really use this as an opportunity, like a real world opportunity. How would you go about it if you were a business making a pitch, right? So at that stage, I would say go real deep. For this one, use what you've got, tap into your own experience and your advisor, and send it in. Next time, go way deeper. And we'll do another one of these sessions at that stage as well, more of a QA session, where, we can talk about some of those best practices about, even doing rehearsals in front of different people and things like that. But I don't want to overwhelm you with that now. For now, spend 2 to 3 hours, make sure you proof it, do your best work, ask us questions, send an email, info@mediascholars.org. It's manned all the time. And you'll be in good shape. I don't think you should spend more than 2 to 3 hours at this stage. I think you'll have plenty of time to dig in deeper the next round.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The Excel sheet that you have at your disposal obviously was designed so hopefully you've used it and you can see it's pretty simple to use. You're just plugging in the impression values and it's going to automatically adjust everything for you. So you can, within, I'd like to think 10, 15 minutes of playing around with that, you can understand how all the numbers relate to each other and then can start to think about how you want to craft your plan. And then, like Andrea said, 2 hours of writing on top of your playing with the thing, and you should have a good first entry to this competition. We're not looking for a final product that you're going to use in June in front of judges. This is to demonstrate that you understand the concepts and are prepared for the next round, which is a much bigger lift.
Thank you so much.
Great. I'm just going to bring up, we just have 2 questions that we commonly get that I'm just going to throw out here. One we've already talked about. Do I have to have a partner for this qualifying round? And the answer again to that is no, because if you advance to the next round as a semifinalist, we will pair you in what is called a combo team. And as Andrea said, combo teams have won in the past. So that does happen. And then finally, this is sort of along the lines of what you all have been asking, is what outside resources am I able to use when applying to the competition? And I think it's been touched upon here, but I think the teams that have been most successful in the past have really been backed by a supportive advisor who can give them some of these tips and just guide you along the process. And so if you don't have, I have seen some of the submissions that have come in over the past couple of days, and a couple of teams have not had advisors identified yet. So it's fine if you've submitted your online registration without that information. You can always provide it to us after the fact, but maybe Andrea or Ben has some supporting words of encouragement there.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly helps. It's not a requirement, of course. I mean, the Binghamton team from 2020 had no advisor and they won the dang thing. But if you do, it does help. And it just helps because for all of you, this is a first. Actually, that's not true for Linnea. It's not a first time, but for many of you, it is a first time. And so you'll really want to have someone to bounce ideas off of. And if you don't know who to contact at your school, feel free to reach out at info@mediascholars.org, and we can help you navigate that too and make some suggestions on which departments to look at and possibly even which faculty to call.
Great. So I know that we're way over time here, but some great questions, and hopefully you feel that you've been equipped with some knowledge to get you through. We did want to just let you know about one other scholarship opportunity to keep this on your radar, particularly if you are a junior. This is only available to juniors and seniors. They're given preference. And this is our Media Fellows program is essay-based scholarships. These are awarded twice a year. We typically give out 50 of these within a year, and they typically average they're about $1,500 for each of those scholarship awards. So we do one for the fall semester and one for the spring semester. The fall semester deadline is July 15th. And again, on our website, if you go to mediascholars.org, Media Fellows has its own tab with lots of resources. This video is also there sharing some of the reactions from previous winners. But we know that these make a huge difference. And we'd love to see you continue your journey with Washington Media Scholars by applying for one of the fellow scholarships as well. So, whoops, that's it. All right, so here's our contact information. But again, the best email is always info@mediascholars.org, and that is also, again, you can get to that through our website. And we also encourage you, if you're not already, to follow one of our social media channels, if not all of them, but we do regularly post updates and announcements there and reminders. So we are doing everything we can to keep you on track and focused on deadlines But if you haven't already, do follow us. And I think you'll find that a helpful resource as well. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time today and looking forward to seeing your submissions in just a couple weeks.